Okay, well, it's 3:17, and I'm up, and it's strange because Stella didn't even get up to go potty. She didn't have to go last night, so I'm so excited that uh, the things I did, I try to think of like, because usually a dog, if they have diarrhea or something, if they're having a stomach issue, dogs have a huge amount of, they can take in a lot of bacteria. They can take in a lot of stuff. Their system is designed for it because they are like scavengers naturally. So, oh, that's right. So that they, I feel so weird. I just feel so weird. Okay, so anyways, dogs can take in a lot of bacteria because they are more meant to be like scavengers. This looks so weird when I'm looking up here today. It was like I'm seeing my mom's eyes or something. That is weird. I can't see good, but I don't know. There's always something. I have so many things that are weird about with my eyes and stuff, and through this awakening stuff, because like for me, when I'm sitting here saying like I'm not so attached and stuff to the reality and stuff anymore. I mean, I've never been fully in, not like what I was like, fuck, I had no idea how people lived. Like, so I totally get why people were telling me I was crazy all the time. But anyways, it seems like that there's something about the way that we see it is, even yesterday, because it was kind of like I was questioning this or something. I guess, I don't know, because everything is so disjointed, like, it's like the part of me talking to them that has some sort of fluid, like that is more of what I can see or something. The other stuff, the 3D part, the part where my body part, that's the part where it's like go in and out, like it's becomes disjointed. That's where I think, where they talk about grounding, that's where I think, through this awakening where you start feeling like it's like you're not grounded or something. It's like you're floating out in space or something. But whatever it was, I was doing, I think it was when I was driving. They're always showing me stuff, like definitely when I'm driving, they're always showing me shit. Fuck. But so yesterday it was something that they were showing me, and it was like all of a sudden it was like looking through a viewfinder. And so it was like, we are looking through a viewfinder. It's like, it's hard to explain. So it's like when we think of ourselves, like we're projecting ourselves. And it is like this thing about your higher self is, it's imagining itself. But it's kind of like every single person is looking through a viewfinder. Everybody has their own view, their own reality, their own way that they see things. And so there's things that I'm always being shown, like visually, that are, I don't know, disorienting. But it is, there's always like messages and stuff that go with it. But when that stuff starts happening to you, I'm just saying, like, it's very, like, it's trippy. Like, I have so many weird things with my eyes and being able to see things and see past things, and things suddenly just turning into spinning colors and all sorts of weird shit. And it's weird too, like, to, like, be on your own and go through this stuff. So, you know, like, I know lots of people, I think it's part of it. But I think it is to connect you more to your higher self and stuff. So it's like to try and get you to connect more. And so that's what I do. I just, like, I'm always talking to them throughout all of this stuff. But that has been, you know, to some people, being isolated could be the worst thing in the whole wide world. People can't stand to have 10 minutes by themselves. And I think I used to be one of those people. Like, I always needed to be talking. And so I had somebody to talk to. And so, but coming out here, I mean, I figured out how to find a way to still be able to talk. And but being out here and being in isolation, and then just like talking about like what I've gone through this whole awakening thing. It's very trippy. But anyways, what I was saying with Stella, because I was like, fuck, I'm up so early, but she didn't keep me up all night. I was asleep in the bedroom. She supposed to come in there, and then she just all of a sudden got up and started crying. But she does that a lot when she just gets uncomfortable, because she's with her joints and stuff. And so I'll come out there with you. And she just came out and got on her bed. She didn't go to the door. She didn't start crying, nothing. So I came out here and laid down. I was just laying here. It was like fucking been, well, now it's 3:24. But I was laying there for like an hour. And my brain just was getting more and more on and on and on. Like, the conversation's just getting more and more and more. That's another bad thing about waking up at that time. If your head chakra or whatever, if your brain is more open, it's like a fucking going to a party. It's like there's so much talking and it's loud. So, anyways, so I'm just sitting there talking and talking and talking, and then keep trying to pull myself into my little roly-poly position so I can go to sleep. But it just wasn't working. And it just was so many things going through my mind. But one of the things with her, with the diarrhea thing, so I was like, fuck. Because, like, by the third day, because the dog is meant to be a scavenger. So their system is can take a lot of bacteria because they can eat garbage. And so that's how they're designed. And so when they get an upset stomach that is prolonged, it's like, what would she be eating? It has to be something that she keeps getting. And so then, you know, it's the environmental thing, I know, is so much of a problem for so many animals, for so many people. I mean, it's a big problem for all of us. So, you know, I always think about the environmental, but for it to keep going and going, so it's like, fuck. And the chicken, like, I don't know if that could be fucking weird. It feels weird. Even when you pull it, like, everything is fucking weird. And and all these fucking cakes I keep trying to make, and like, bread comes out okay because it comes out crunchy, but all the fucking cakes, like, before, cakes used to be soft. Now it's coming out like rubber on the top, like I don't know. I don't know if it's something just going wrong with my baking stuff, because the elevation, but fuck, it's only supposed to be like 900 in elevation. It shouldn't be fucking affecting the baking, I wouldn't think. I don't know. It's frustrating, but all these different things with the food and stuff. So, and then her medicine that I get, because I get it off of Amazon, it's dog hemp, like, there's a bunch of different brands, and supposedly, you know, they're USA, but people in the USA will say that it's made in the USA, but they're getting it from somewhere else. So there's just so much bullshit and confusion in our fucking world. I mean, it's no wonder we're all just fucking, it's surprising we're not all in padded rooms. in fucking rubber rooms or something. And even the people who try and self-medicate, I mean, they're just all fucking all over the people doing the footage of what's going on in some of these inner cities. It's so fucking horrible because it's not just, you know, a bunch of druggies. It's a fucking so many disabled people. Fuck. Wheelchair after wheelchair. Fucking all sorts of device, you know. These people are fucking, these are, oh man, they just discard people. Like, there's vets and stuff. Like, it's just disgusting. It's just disgusting. But it's what they wanted to have happen. This is something I just can't get out of my head. But so back on the diarrhea, so anybody who's having the thing, so I just cut out the things that she took every day. Oh, and her treats too, because that's another thing. Fuck, are the treats tainted? Like, fuck. And so I stopped those. Then she still got a treat. She didn't have one for a long while, but then when we went out walking last night, see, I think sometime yesterday she was going to the bathroom. I was like, fuck. And I went to the store and I got cottage cheese and pumpkin. So if your dog has diarrhea, cottage cheese and pumpkin. So when I got back, and she's also had yogurt and chicken. I cooked her a whole new chicken. And then I gave her just some cottage cheese and some yogurt. And then for some reason about it, then she was hungry again. So I gave her some chicken and cottage cheese. And then we haven't gone out and gone diarrhea. So it worked. And one thing too, though, is I don't like to just rush in and do something real quick. Even like if you are sick and you start having diarrhea, whatever's trying to get out of you, you gotta let it get out of you. You don't want to just go in and stop the diarrhea. Let the stuff that's trying to get out of you, get it out of you. Like, I think that's another thing that they probably do to us that just keeps this sickness inside of us. We got to release it, you know, let go of the sickness, like process it, whatever it is. If it's a temperature, there's even a whole thing about that a temperature is our natural way that our body raises its temperature because it's fighting something. Once it kills it, it will go back down. And then they, you know, everything is how they control people is just through fear through, you're going to die, you're going to die, you're going to die. And then people are like, fuck, I'm going to get a temperature, I'm going to fucking die. And then how many people create it for themselves. It's so fucking, we live in such a programmed world. It's so fucking crazy. Where it is to the point is like, it is like we are living like a computer game or video game or whatever. Like, it's so programmed. And then I know there's this whole thing with destiny. Like, I know all the things we're learning is so multi-level. And it's because all of us are so multi-level. Like, everybody who is, you know, joining into this channel and stuff, like, everybody's at different levels. Everybody's at different levels in their awakening. Everybody's at different levels in their perceiving their reality. Like, there's, what was that? It was something really standing out to me about, you know, the necessity of those certain things that people need to perceive to understand themselves. I can't really think of them all. Like, I probably be coming to me because this one thing that keeps coming to me because this was so strange. So, because some of these things, it's like, is this real? Is this for real? Like, but you also got to remember, like, whatever level you're at, not everybody's at the same level. And it's weird because there's certain things that's just so strange. So there's the whole thing now, you know, with which, by the way, I don't think the stuff that comes out of our hair, out of our heads to coat our hair is oily. I think it's waxy. I think it's very waxy. And I've got all sorts of, and there's something with my water here too. Is like, it's thick. It's like there's a thickener added or something. It's weird. And so I don't know how much that's affecting my hair too. And I don't know if that's drying it out and that's making it secrete more stuff to try and keep it more moist everywhere. Like, I'm not sure, but it definitely keeps doing this big like secretion thing. And I keep brushing it and brushing it, but I keep being like, this is like like an apple has a natural waxy coating. Like, I think that they want to, it's so weird how they want us to put this stripper on our hair, strip this natural coating off of our hair, because it's got to be a natural protector. It's just very uncomfortable to get used to, because, you know, being so used to stripping my hair clean. And so but it's definitely, that it's not oily, and it's like a heavy dense, like you have to brush and comb it a lot because it's like waxy. Like, if I can see how these people who are out there in the streets and they don't have brushes and combs, because I've seen so many videos of these hair just becomes this matte, like this matted mess, because it's this wax. It's like a waxy coating. It's definitely not oily. It's not slippery and slick. It's more a sticky kind of. So you have to like brush it, and then plus you got to comb it to separate it too. So you got to brush it and spread down the waxy coating depending on how long your hair is. And you're supposed to brush it like the old tail, the old wives' tale thing or something was always, you go 100 strokes before you go to bed. So you're supposed to really get in there and brush it good. And then I've found I need to comb it, but I don't think I do 100 strokes at any one time, but I brush it throughout the day a bunch of different times, maybe like 30 or 40 though, because you'll see like, but anyways, it's a process going through this. It's like a reprogramming and getting used to your hair and stuff, getting used to how it feels, because it feels different on your head. It feels heavier and denser. So anyways, I just don't think it's oily. I think it's waxy. But so this person, it was another weird comment thing. So there's this thing going around on TikTok. It was some there's been a few of these different fucking wackadoos, but there's just, the Dovik cases are just so rising. It's so like, there's fucking drama, like, it's so ridiculous. And so all these people start doing these stitches and duets and stuff, you know, like, fuck no. Make them really funny. There's people making funny, like, little videos and stuff about it. Like, nobody gives a fuck about this shit. And so you kind of feel like everybody is kind of on like the same wavelength as you about it. And I gotta throw this out there too, because I had said fuck with the California, and they just seem to like just go back to the beach and not care about what goes on next. Right after I said that, so all yesterday, they were a huge protest, like fucking huge. It was huge in Huntington Beach and Beverly Hills and Trump stuff everywhere. All these protests, they all are doing Trump flags and American flags and stuff. And it was all along, all the different meeting places or wherever that they were having their protests, they were all big. And there was a bunch of them. And they were protesting against Newsom and against putting in all these weirdo fucking laws, you know, to take over their kids. And so the people are out fighting back. So, you know, props to them. Thank God people are starting to be like, you know, standing up, and news started to come at them and give them a curfew. I don't know what all happened. I don't know, because it's still the middle of the night. I haven't been on there or anything yet. I was just like, my brain was getting so full of it. I was like, I've got to go, just got to go record. And so, oh God, I brought my tea over here. I got to remember it's sitting there. I would tell you to remind me, but I won't hear you. So, anyways, so yesterday, there was a funny one of those duet things that I just thought was funny. I don't know why. It was just stupid. But all these people started duetting with their ceiling fans. And so everybody was just having these ceiling fans. And the whole thing was this doctor, the cases are rising. It's so serious. And then some guy saying fuck no or something like that. I don't know. It's silly and funny. But so I did one of those. And it went on twice for some reason. So I had two going for a minute. And so I was getting comments on both of them. And I just had to choose one. And because I didn't need both of them going. And so then this girl comes in and comments. So all the people who are commenting are all in agreement. So you could go into the comments as a person and see, like, I mean, I'll do that in any kind of controversial topic. If I'm going to make a comment, I will go in and make the decision on, just like when I saw that woman who was saying that about the BRICS nations been meeting 15 years. Don't worry, this is going to be like 2050 when this goes. There's people who believe that now. Like, you really think that with the inflation and the crashing, and what's going on with the banks and all, you really think this is going to go on 24 years? Is that the absurdity of what people's brains will allow them to accept is just, it's beyond my comprehension. I'm just like, what is your fucking reality telling you? Is it saying, oh yeah, we got another 25 years, don't worry about this? I'm like, what the fuck? Okay. So, hold on. So, she comes in fucking guns a-blazing. She was not coming in. She was coming in fully loaded. But, when I go in and I'll say something, I'm not, like, I'll know I'm going to be controversial. Like, when I went in and said something to that woman, I just said, or in her comments, I said, how is this group that just formed a few months ago been meeting for 15 years? It sounds like a mainstream media information to me, as that's some fucking nonsense. And I don't think she said anything. I don't fucking know. I got so many comments going. Sometimes it's like, fuck, I don't know who the fuck I'm talking to. It's crazy because you don't know who the fuck you're talking to at all. I've been in arguments with people, and I didn't, like that one girl who was sitting there, who was trying to tell me science is the way. Science, all this shit, that's your 3D way. Stick with your science shit then. Because they're fucking lying about that. They've just come out and said that fucking, they've got to let go of this whole gravity thing now. They're letting go of that concept. That was a thought. It was a theory, but we released that theory. We don't think gravity's really the thing. It's the magnetism of the atoms on the frequency. Okay, so anyways, she comes in, guns a blazing, because she comes in with calling names, because she's all sometimes I got my mom's crazy hair too. So she comes in telling us that I can't even say it for verbatim, but basically she's a good person, and how dare us even talk like this she has an immunosuppressed kid, and how the society does not fucking realize how important it is for us to put those things on. At least she's a good person. She's not a fucking psychopath. What was it? It wasn't even, we weren't just psychopaths. We were something on top of that. Like, there was an added grind to the psychopath. I can't remember what it was now. But she was, like, coming in, like, she was, and I don't remember what I said to her. something about immunocompromised kids should be staying home. Like, what in the holy hell? Who? God damn. Yeah, and she comes at me fucking, like she's the fucking medical expert. She's got damn immunosuppressed kid. I'm like, and this is the kind of shit that this hierarchy bullshit. Like, well, I'm a nurse. Well, I've got this. Well, I've got. It's so fucking stupid. But what else was I gonna do? So it's like, well, I'm a nurse, so I know a little bit about those little things that go on our faces. Like, this is one thing that these people, she even fucking tried to tell me something, well, you ought to learn about those things. It was like, dude, you know how many fucking hours of fucking classes at the hospital we have sat through to learn about those goddamn things and what they're for. Don't fucking tell me what they're for. I try and tell you, but you do you. You listen to the news. Don't listen to people who, but you're going to come at me and tell me, fuck, dude, okay. So then she tells me, whenever there's back and forth thing with her immunosuppressed kid, I was like, you should learn more about it. You should not be taking your immunosuppressed kid out in public around sick people, like, and to expect the world to conform to you, like, and everything that she would come back, it was like a scripted, like, they talk on a script. They use catchphrase. They use a certain dialogue that is like this progressive dialogue that is sold to them. And it's so transparent and it's so aggravating because you just want to fucking shake them and just like, wake up, dude. Like, you're not thinking for yourself. You're just a fucking product of your environment. So, whatever the fuck she's saying. So I try to say, okay, well, with that theory, then I have a brain injury, so the whole world needs to conform to me. And whatever, if they don't like what I say, she would stop talking for a long period of time and then come back. And, I don't know if she was at work or she was just trying to really think of it or whatever. Now I went in because she just kept on and kept on and kept on. And I was like, fuck, do I just block her? And I would go on and look at her account. And I said, this is a real person. This is, and I think she had almost 1,000 followers. I don't remember. Is it 1,000 followers? You can go live. Like, that is what all these fucking people, these clout seekers, social climber, just want to be famous so that I can rub elbow. I don't know. I don't know what their whole thing is. Because it is just like, it's too much of a group think. It's not like, I really want to be known for this thing I'm doing and help people. It's all just like, it's so shallow. It's like, what? I don't get it. But they all want to get on there and they want to go live and they all want TikTok to pay them. They all want to be monetized by this TikTok thing. And so you have all these people who have been getting all this, now seeing through the games. They take down your videos. It's all a game. It's also, they make money. And it's fuck. It's such a bullshit. And these people, they don't realize you just sell out on just fucking trying to get this or that. You just, I don't even go live because I know it's all a fucking game. And I sure the fuck am not gonna go live so people tip me and give me money. Like, no. I'm not a fucking circus performer or something. I'm a street performer. I want to sit there and toss quarters at me. Toss, like, on those live things. It's weird. It's just so weird. And then you got these people. I mean, there's people who have their whole account is just that. These girls who sit there, I like ice cream. Oh, lucky, all this weird shit. Oh, nice rolls, please. Yeah, sucky, yeah. I was like, oh my God. And they think that's a better job. Like, are you feeling better about yourself at the end of the day? Do you feel good? Yeah, are you, because I feel like people are just dumbing themselves down to a point of like, ah, is it weird? It's like a de-evolution. They're going backwards. They're not evolving. They're going the other direction. And so I've got a bunch of things now. Like, this is what was going on all fucking night. It was so, in the past hour, there was so much. It was like, fuck, I just gotta get up and just start fucking talking. So anyways, this girl who it keeps coming, so her account is getting bigger. It's not like she's somebody who just like has 20 followers. So she does have a voice. There's people listening to her. And all her videos were her talking, just like mine. And I know people who have a lot of, good content who only have like 100 followers. So, I mean, to me, when people just keep spreading this darkness, and ignorance is a part of darkness. Like, think about in Scrooge, remember when the second ghost and he opens up the robe, and ignorance and whatever is in there, it's the darkness. Ignorance, they keep you in the dark. Ignorance is not stupid. Ignorance is ignorance. It's kept in the dark. And anyways, so she her account, or was like she this philosophy or whatever, this victim mentality is the only thing I can even relate it to, is how everybody's got to bend down to everybody's accommodate them, but they don't accommodate anybody. See, they don't get, like, you don't have, you're coming in guns and blazing. You don't have any compassion or empathy for anybody else. You're not coming in asking, those could possibly affect some people where can't breathe. Like, I cannot wear those things. I can't fucking breathe. I can't imagine anybody with deviated septum or any kind of breathing things or any of that shit. You can put those things on. It's like, you're not getting good air circulation. That does affect all your organs. It will affect your mind, all of it. It affect your eyes, everything. It's they want to make us sick. And these people just like jump on board. Let's get all sick together and you better do it too. It's like, no, I can feel my body. My body cannot function like that. And then you want to shame me about that? Hold on. Because whatever it was that she said, it is like that these people, they try and always push this, like they're this social justice warrior people, that they are the most compassionate, they care for everyone, that's why they're doing all this, but at the same time they're fucking stabbing you. It's like, okay, there's a little inconsistency going on here. So you care as long as I agree with you. Then you've got the most compassion in the world as long as I'm on your team. But if I'm on a different team, then it's like, oh, you'll kill me. It's like, but you're so compassionate. You're the most caring people. I mean, without you in this world, I mean, we would all be like me. We would all be so horrible. We would all be, I mean, the stuff that they say is just like craziness. It's like, why can't you see? How are people so blind to themselves? But this is why this is happening, this big awakening, this big mirror to slide in front of you so you can see yourself at your core. And are you happy with what you see? And so, as she continues through the day, I keep on going like, man, do I just fucking block her? But is there something, like that she needs? Like, I was going back and forth because, it was a real account with a real person. I thought maybe she'll really learn something. Maybe I can enlighten her somehow. And it was something she said at the, I think it was the thing about the, what what a great, compassionate, caring person that she is in this world. And luckily there's people in this world like her, because if it was all people like me, we'd be just fucked. And I think that's when she said that, and I went on to her thing to look again. And because other people start arguing with her. That's what it was. Other people started going in. And that is another thing too. It's like when you're on a fucking thing where everybody has a certain attitude and you come in and you start going and guns blazing, you better figure other people are going to say some shit to you. And so somebody was saying something to her about like, basically like, what kind of parent are you to not care about that you're the one who has to protect your child, going out in the world thinking everybody else needs to? Like, I know I need to protect my child. And I kept trying to tell this girl too about the immunosuppressed. It's like, chick, if you got a fucking immunosuppressed kid, you don't fucking just go walking around taking them in a place where there's sickness. You keep them home. Like, what our doc is so bizarro world. I just have fucking got up my fucking ass back when fucking goddamn Wahlberg, no, not Wahlberg, the fucking Damon, because I like Wahlberg. That fucking Matt Damon was sitting there telling people, oh, everybody has to go do this, go do it, because his friend who's immunocompromised, he needs to be able to live too. Fuck you. Fucking bullshit. God damn, people need to know some goddamn basic math. But no, because now at this point, like I said, it's like, let go of all of that fucking bullshit that they told us was matter and flesh and blood, because go beyond that, because we're way beyond that at this point. So she is, so I go back to her account, something in the conversation with these people with the kid thing. And so I got to see this woman's kid. I was like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. This is so fucked, man. When you see this shit. And this one video too was like, we have got so much mental illness out here in this world. I swear to fucking God. People are so fucking broken and they have no fucking idea, because we got these goddamn organizations out here supporting mental illness in the wrong fucking way. So her child is a 4-year-old trans child. I don't even know what the immunosuppressant thing is. Her video, the one video, I don't even know what all her ones are. The one where I went on to see just the video of her kid. It's pinned even. I don't even know what pinned it means. That they put it on Pinterest. It goes on everything. Like, I don't get it. Like, these people have these pinned videos. It's like they want them out there. So this is, and everybody wants to go viral. Everybody wants to be famous. And everybody wants to be famous for, I guess, having a trans child or something. So her child, she really did not want a girl. She did not want to have a little girl. I mean, so when she was so excited when she had her little boy, so she was very excited to have this little boy. And, when he became a little girl, how anyone could think it's anything about her, because she did not want a little girl. It has nothing to do with her. She didn't want a little girl. She just wanted a little boy. And so all of the video is the little boy dressed like a little girl, dressed like a little princess a lot, little girl a lot, dressed like tutus and stuff, playing with his Barbie house and whatnot like that. What is wrong with parents? I swear to fucking God. Why can't you just let your kid get the clothes that they want and play with the toys that they want? Why do you gotta fucking box them in and label them in? Now he's trans. Now he's transitioning. He's no longer a boy. He can't be a boy who likes Barbies and dresses. Like, that would be, what would that be? I don't know. What would that be? certainly, you know, in this all accepting, all inclusive world we have here, a little boy who wants to wear dresses and play with Barbies, then, you know, he must be a little girl trapped in a little boy's body. For God's sakes, God, why do you do this to us? It's like, fuck, dude. It's fucking brain twisted around. It's so mental. And then for her, it's all about her, all about her, all about her. That's why I keep saying, these parents, they're fucking fixing their own wounds, and they just have completely forgotten that their children are, there's like sentient, they're separate beings from you. Here having a different experience. Like, these people think like they're an extension of them. Like, it's a part of you still. Like, whatever you feel, whatever you think, whatever you perceive, that must be theirs. It's like, maybe you should stop and start trying to see the world through other people's eyes. Not just keep forcing your vision on everybody else. But, so, this fucking poor little 4-year-old, like, who knows what is immunosuppressed on? Like, I was expecting a little bit older child for one thing. But this philosophy, this mentality, this way of looking at things, and out there just spreading it and giving it more. Like, that's what I keep saying about this. Like, this darkness spreads, and people think darkness is evil. Darkness is ignorance. Darkness is, it's not just evil. Like, people gotta get this fucking black and white shit out of their goddamn heads. And this is something that is just, all since yesterday, this has been going and going and going. And that is probably part of why they were showing me that viewfinder, how literally everybody is in their own viewfinder. Everyone is seeing, and it's so crazy. When I go out, like yesterday, the sky was, I am seeing skies like, it is like otherworldly things that you can't even, like, I could never even have imagined seeing a sky like some of the skies I've seen. Last night was like, I was just like standing out in the street like one of those zombie people, just standing there going, I'm just standing out in the street. Just, I'm just like, how does no one see this? This is so fucking weird. Like, fuck, dude, this is so fucking weird. Like, this awakening is so different for every single person. Like, it's so weird. I went and did those errands, you know, which is one weird thing was, there was nobody in these cars, and they were stopped every little bit, and they were the exact same car, and they all had the little cones around it. They all were ADP resources. So I came home and I was trying to look it up. It seems so weird and big. It seems so much like this new infrastructure, this 100-mile inlet that they gave over to the UN. And so there's just these weird cars, these weird resources, and then where's the people driving these fucking cars? What are they just out here in the woods just sitting here? It was weird as fuck. And then there was, when I went to go get water, there was a cop just sitting in Maple Falls. It's like, just sitting there. What are you doing? You checking to see if anybody's speeding down the 30 miles an hour thing? Like, it made no sense. I was like, okay. As soon as I went and got the water and saw that, I thought, okay, this is weird. Like, this is weird right here. The fucking cops in here. It was just weird. And so, you never see cops out here. And there's just weird things with so many weird things. But, let me think back what I was going to say. Because when I went, because of how it just is so different for all the people, man. It's so weird because it's all different levels. Because I went and did my stuff. So I got some cash out, because if I think it's a good idea to have some cash out, because there's going to be a period of time where people are going to think that cash has value. And so there'll be cash, because the cards won't work. The cards will just dead ass stop. And I've already been at the store, like I said, and had it happen. And it is fucking chaos. And so cash will be necessary for certain things, but it's going to be way better if you don't need to go out and do anything. Going out and doing anything, I'm telling you, that is going to be, they're going to have a certain period of time is going to be like the purge. All their instigators that they've got all over in different cities and towns are just out there ready to just fucking cause some fucking shit. And it's like planned mayhem. So it is like a punishment over this banking thing. It's like once it crashes, it is like that's going to be the comeback. It's going to be on us, the mayhem or something. It's going to be like, anyways, as much as you can stay at home, you'll be safer. And then there's going to be so much chaos and so much shutting down. Yesterday I told my daughter, hold on. I told my, because she does caregiving. And I said, you know, this BRICS nation thing is way bigger than what they're putting out there. You know, this is big. I kept thinking that we were going to crash the dollar like more from the inside. Now I feel like they're crashing it from the outside. Like this seems intense to me. I don't know. It seems like if we're going to try and keep, like fucking Brazil, we're going to keep trying to go when the dollar has no value globally. Like, fuck. Or we're having where we have to have all our shit imported. We have no money. Like, this is going to be, because that's not like the government buying this shit. This is like stores. Like, you're going to go and try and buy a fucking roll of toilet paper, and it's going to be, you know, $100 or something. Like, stuff will be so fucking ridiculous. So, I don't know if that, you know, I bet people just become so frustrated. There was still the crimes. It's going to be intense. Like what happens in these countries when this happens, it turns the whole goddamn country into criminals. And we've got about a zillion criminals sitting here ready to take us through that gate. And so, you know, and I don't know how far into this we have to go. I don't know, you know, what people have to experience to wake up. You know, when I went yesterday, so, and then I went to go drop off my car, and it was raining and crappy, and so I had asked the neighbor, because she drives by, you know, when she comes home from work, and so I said, would you just pick me up, because they go to the same car mechanic, and so she said that she would, so she came and picked me up, and just, you know, when you just sit there and talk to people who are so in the 3D, it's so trippy to be at these different levels of this experience, of this reality, because they all think this reality is one thing. You see the reality as like it's so strange. But yeah, you know, this other thing is coming into my head. Okay, so I'll just go over there. So okay, so this thing, I was really excited. A couple people were giving me some history yesterday in the comments. You can read. I'm not sure which video it was on. It was probably on yesterday's, but maybe it was a couple days ago. Like, people comment on ones and I won't know which day it is sometimes when I'm talking to them. So sometimes I think sometimes people think I know which video they're talking about, but I don't know what, you know, which one they're talking about, because I do so many. And, but they were talking to me about the tribes and the white tribe people. And so I went and looked it up too. And it seemed like another one of those things where they don't want to just give us all the information, but these Sami people. And so they were these like nomadic kind of tribe people that were over by like Eastern Europe, over by Russia, and over by the Netherlands and by Finland and whatnot. And so there is a lighter skin group, but they are still in the same tribe as this darker skin group that look like, you know, just regular, like over here, what they called American Indians, because now, I mean, we've got a lot of different indigenous people in this area, because the Mexican people were indigenous people from, there's a whole thing about what they did to create Mexicans. And so the same thing to create Americans, just like the guy who was talking to me about creating the Brits. So they've done these things around, like there's so much, you know. And one thing, you know, we can't connect all the dots because they don't all connect. So there's different periods of time, and then it's just disappeared. And so it is, and then the new age, like these resets, because there was a period of time when there was giants, like there's giants everywhere. So, and there was a period of time. Oh, and you know, even in that Moana, they even show Island being a giant spirit, a giant that was killed. That, and the island looks like that. And, you know, when the islanders, you know, pray to the giant spirit, to their God, their spirit, their connection to the land, to me, it's like the spirit of that giant, which is, goes in with that kind of higher self, like, kind of like if the giant was the higher self for all of the different islanders. And that is the true connection to the island, is through your soul. And so it's very important to our experience about this connections to the land or something. There's a whole thing about this spiritual connection. Even yesterday when I was driving and this deer came out and started crossing the road, and it's just, I think it was a she crossing. I was thinking, she looks fat. I wonder if she could be pregnant. I was like, no, she could be pregnant. You don't get pregnant this time of the year. That's weird. Animals, nature, how many, they always get pregnant, and then they have their babies in the spring so that their babies can be a certain age by winter time, because they have to, in order to keep their species going. I was like, it's like they are in sync. Their cycles are in sync with nature. Like, if you see what I'm saying, and I don't even know how accurate that is. Like, I'm sure that there's got to be something that gives birth during all different times. Like, I don't know. But I was like, oh my gosh, so their cycles are all in sync with nature. But then it was like human cycles are also in sync with nature and the moon and stuff. Like, but they try and keep, that's why they try and keep everybody's, they interfere so much with the hormones and the metabolism and shit, is to keep us out of that balance. They don't want us to be balanced. The serotonin, dopamine, all that shit. They don't want us to know how to function those chemicals and how to use them to our benefit. They don't want us to know that shit. So, but the animals, you know, they're in sync. And so and I think that is a part of what the tribes and shit. But the thing that's interesting, so with these Sami people, there's these super light-skinned ones that look more like Russian people. So, because you think about where these different groups of people started forming from. And, but so many of them look like people who I would think live in Alaska and on a lot of the reservations around here and stuff. And so, you know, in these different time periods of how the different people traveled and moved and how the people spread and stuff. But there's also unnatural occurrences. There's manipulation, just like how they manipulate with our weather now. So there's been a manipulation in that movement of the tribes and stuff. But the thing is that what gets me now is, so like I had said before, like if you know, said to a Jewish person, you know, you're a white person, it'd be like, no, I'm a Jewish person. It's like, that is what they started creating, was this white, black and white person. It's like a part of this learning that we're here learning about. So, you know, I mean, there's stuff that is, you know, manipulated and stuff. This is stuff too, why I think I, you know, obsessed about it or whatever, is because Because this is stuff that they were telling me ever since I was a kid. This is stuff like stuff that they told me when I was a kid is like I'm seeing so much of it, you know, like, but there was so much about culture and stuff when I was a kid, and I would always be asking and about like tradition and stuff. And like American parents think tradition is the holidays. The holidays were created for consumerism. And parents think that that is our American tradition, is our holidays. We have no culture. We have nothing that gives us any idea of who we are. And so it seems like what they were doing is you take these different groups of people, and people go into their nationality, into their culture, and before, people were, you know, it's weird because people always move. Like, people are always moving and going to different places. But like, if you met a German in France, they would say, well, I'm a German. They wouldn't go, well, I'm a white person. We're all just a vague white person. No, I'm a German. Keep it straight. Well, I'm French. Well, I'm Swiss. Everybody has their own like culture. And then some of these other ones are kind of absorbed into it or something, because it comes from, there's a tribe, there's a beginning of all these different cultures. There's a core where it came from. And so, and the further you get away, but so much through time, people didn't want to mix up. They stayed with their groups. So I think more of it started being more mixing around is, and probably in Europe and stuff. But I think, there was a period of time, like Irish would not marry a German, like people really stuck with their group. It gave them some kind of a foundation of who they were. They were this, and that each group offered, tradition and culture and history and, all of what they were looking for. It came from the nucleus of the tribe, the group, where they came from. And like, there's more of a foundation, there's more of a connection. And so people don't just look at themselves as black and white. They look at themselves as, I'm African. In Africa, you got black and white people. And, you got really, really dark and really, really light. And I don't know still, how many of those people were even, because there's a point in time where they went and they took these lab-created these babies, these incubator babies, these Cabbage Patch babies, these science-created babies, where they, and so this is before, supposedly were those, you can't say the word, the Swazes that worked for Hitler, where before they were doing it, it was already being done. That when they were doing it, that was a part of the awakening. That was a part of, for humanity to start noticing, to start seeing, start being outraged. But before that was more hidden. But they were already doing it. But people were like, go to the state fair and look at all these incubator babies and not think that's fucking weird. All this, like, they were being obvious that they were having these lab babies. I don't know what the stories were back then. And I don't know if you went and looked up old newspapers. The Smithsonian is pretty good about fucking with our history and hiding shit. They've got so much shit hidden about the giants, and they've got so much shit hidden. They got shit hidden about Egypt, or there's a lot of weird shit about Egypt and Grand Canyon and shit. There's so much weird shit. So, anyways, when they did that, and they did this lab-created white people, so it was something like what people do with dogs or something with this breeding. They're always trying to mix things and stuff. And I know it has something to do with taking the melanin out, because they know that that is like the same way as why they're trying to damage the pineal gland and our hair, anything that connects us to the outside world in a real connection, so you have a deeper understanding of who you are, so you're not just energy that can be controlled by them. And so the so whatever they started doing to try and take that out, and then when they put the baby, I think they had this idea that would kind of like adding cream to the mix, you know, that they could kind of water down and get people more controlled. And so then they dumped all of these white people into the mix, because so like in my own family, and I don't know, even when you go back and look at some of these histories and stuff, but I would ask this shit all the time when I was a kid. That's what I'm saying, is there's so much of this shit from when I was a kid that I would ask and talk about, because I was very concerned about why we didn't have any culture. And my mom, like I said, she was, you know, she was a teenager. She was all into the astronaut food. Like, here, have some artificial food. This is good for you. This is what the astronauts eat. You know, she was, you know, this was supposed to be my experience. So, you know, she was all good with the, let's just have some Christmas and Thanksgiving, and that's our tradition. And so I was, you know, all this stuff about this orphan trains and all this stuff starts being like, oh my gosh, because I know, you know, about my grandpa, the one from Scotland, like, and his parents, and I don't know exactly when they came, like if his parents came when they were kids, but it didn't make any sense, because his parents, when they got married, they took, I guess in Scotland, you took the woman's name then. And like, I know the clans and stuff, I'm like, come from 4 clans. Like, there's deep roots in Scotland on my grandpa's side. So his roots go into that side. Then my brother, when he had been doing the ancestry and stuff, then you start getting into those way back, and it goes further, because then it's over like by England, and then you start seeing these weird connections with the crown and the control and shit. And so, but at this point, you know, through history or whatever, that my family, and then how would we even know? Could computers do a whole thing? Could a computer? I mean, because there's more to this DNA thing than they were letting on. When they want people's DNA and then they sent back this little paper and told you what you were, that is, I think it's very vague over to what they were really looking for. And they weren't just doing that for fun. So all that heritage there. So there's this deep heritage on my grandpa's side of, you know, he's Scottish. And so he's Scottish. Both his parents, you know, goes back like that. And then my other grandpa, you know, before I was always, when I was little, I was always told he was Russian. And then it wasn't until my brother started going back in the thing and started seeing that they were from the Ukraine, but there was all of this having to, there was the government used, right, that's why Putin goes against the deep state, because they were also involved. They were also murderers and horrible people. Now Putin is just more in charge, so he's trying to get rid of that that behavior of this global takeover all the time by these people. And so, but there was a lot going on, because when my grandpa left the Ukraine, it was under direct, like they were escaping. And then when you go back to the papers and stuff, and it said all that stuff about that they were killing all these Jews back then. But, you know, I don't think there's any Jewish in my family, but he looks more ethnic. My grandpa looks more ethnic. And he came over as a kid, like he came with his parents, and they were in San Francisco. Like, I know more of his story. But then when he got married, see, this is where the American stuff comes in. So, because both my grandmas, there's always, because I would ask all the time about their stuff when I was a kid, and there was always a vagueness. Well, grandma doesn't really like to talk about it. Oh, grandma doesn't really, talk to her family anymore. It was always that kind of thing. Like my one grandma, she had a sister, but there was always like all their family was dead or something. Like everybody was dead. This other one, she just never talked to him anymore. Now, at this point in time where we're learning, I was like, ooh, fuck, that sounds like some orphan train shit to me. Like it sounds like, bringing these, the interjection of the orphan, whatever it was that they were doing, that they were introducing them at that time and putting them out there, and then putting them on these farms, and these people who didn't, needed farm help, needed workers, would take these little kids, and then they were just, they weren't caring towards them. They worked them hard. They were, not caring, loving families. They were just like they had kid slaves. And so a lot of kids grew up in houses and families where they didn't feel loved or any of that kind of stuff. And so then they did leave their families and had nothing to do with them. So it really kind of goes together with this whole thing. And so, because then with my grandma that married the one from the Ukraine, because my grandpa from Scotland, he was the one who had the movie star looks. And he was the one who was the womanizing pig. He was horrible. He's the one who I wrote the mean letter to. It wasn't just mean. It was just honest. It was like, you wouldn't even know me if I was standing next to you in a grocery store. My grandpa. But he was, caught up in the power of his looks, and he was very well off. He was rich. That was one thing why his kids, nobody would ever stand up to him. It was one of those situations. Well, one of these days he's going to die. It'll be written out of the will. And he did write one of them out of the will. We are very manipulative. It's really fucked. It's some bullshit, man. He just fucked her over. One of the kids is dead, and then her husband got all of that. And no grandkids or anything. None of us got anything. Anyways, it's whatever. But anyways, there's a lot of people who won't say something to somebody because they want what they're going to have. So they just, and then those people's behavior just gets worse and worse and worse because nobody says shit to them. And so I said some shit. I was fucking honest, and I really threw a little fucking wrench in the thing, like really stirred shit up for a while. But anyways, that was back in a certain time. But so when my grandpa, that one, he was always off womanizing, sleeping around and shit. But my other grandpa, and he died when I was younger, but I would always ask a lot of stuff. And my mom said that back then it was really embarrassing. If you got married to an immigrant, it was like shameful. It was like so embarrassing. Like, oh. And so they would try and hide how they talked. They were trying to hide who they were. So there was this whole thing about hiding who you were. Pretend you're an American. And so it was like this taking culture away. It was like shaming people out of their culture, shaming people out of who they were by using these implant people to direct them into this becoming American. So an American has no tradition. It is a black and white. Like, we're just white people. We're just white people. American is so fucking vague. We're just white people. And even the fact that they give some people African American, at least they get something that, I mean, I'm not called Scottish American and half Ukraine American. Like, we're just white people. And so it is that, and then you see how that goes into their whole thing with this droid. And then you see, like, when you talk to some of these white people, it is how manufactured their thoughts are, how mind controlled, how they just, it all goes together. It's like whatever they were planning and doing, it was working. It was working. Like, these people are fucking talk off a script. They don't think for themselves. So many people just don't think. It's like everybody's just become lazy. They don't want to think for themselves. Just somebody tell me how to do it. Tell me what to do. Don't tell, tell me how to think. What group do I join? And it's like, but that is why all this fucking shit is shaken up, because everybody has to learn to be independent thinkers. You have to learn to be a sovereign being. You have to learn how to love yourself so you can love others. Like, it's a whole thing. That is why all of this stuff is to show you yourself. It's not like the universe is trying to punish you. But, like, there was nothing I could say that would get through to that girl. She was convinced, I'm just this evil person who doesn't care about people, because I think that we shouldn't all have to do the same thing. We should be individuals. We shouldn't just because the government says, oh, there's a sick person down the street, everybody take cover. It's like, well, for one thing, I don't fear death. I'm pretty damn healthy. If I'm taken out, it's because my script was done. I was done in the story. I'm done. It's not because I forgot to wear this. It's not because I walked past somebody and I got their germs. No, I just says, God, I can't even believe we're going to have to go through this whole thing again. Like, it's so bizarre world to me for people to not understand. Your time that you're leaving is set. I thought it had been made so clear, just even in movies and everything. Like, you have a set time. There's nothing that can accidentally end it before that time. Accidents come in to take you out of the story. People come in and out of the story at all different times. Just because somebody comes in for 6 months or somebody comes in for 99 years, it is their role in the story. It has nothing to do with anything else. It doesn't have to do with, well, that person smoked cigarettes every day for their whole life and they lived to be 110 because they were supposed to live to be 110. It has nothing to do with smoking. And if you are smoking and you get sick all the time, then your lessons is about that. It's about you got to tune in through your body. What is your environment trying to teach you? What are the people who come towards you trying to teach you? Not what you try and teach them. Not like, well, if you change, if you do this, I could feel much better. Do this and I'll feel so much better. You change too. It's not that. It's like the things that come at you is so that you can see yourself. Like, you want to look at everybody else. This is the difference in victim mentality and empowerment. There's two different, this is like turning the coin over. It's like your gift. When you can stop pointing the finger and thinking, oh, it's your fault, you did this, you did that, and you can turn it back to yourself and see you. That's when you can make changes. That's when you can take control of your life. As long as you're sitting there, like this girl wants to sit here and think the whole world needs to bend over because she has a 4-year-old trans autoimmune child that everybody needs to, mask up to make sure that her child doesn't get sick. Dude, if you think that is going to help, like, you really need to go learn more about your child's health. Well, see, and it's not even about that. See, everything has so many different levels. Even when you look at it from one perspective, then it's like, yeah, but it all has to do with their lessons. It has to do with the stuff that they're here to learn. So it doesn't even matter. It doesn't matter what's in my viewfinder. Her lessons are completely separate from my lessons. Her lessons and her with her person and everyone that comes in her orbit, those are their lessons. Those are their stuff. She came into mine, and what was left to me was just like, fuck, man. It's like so cut off. Like, even at this point, to be like, I was so scared of the sickness. And then to be just so argumentative, so divisive, and so still on this, like, I'm better than you. I care about people. Like, it's all in perspective. It's all in how you look at things. Because I look at it as you're not being very caring to your child. If you're taking him out, because you need to go out and be around people, and your kid, there's sickness out there. Like, I stayed home all the time just because. Not because I was scared of sickness. I don't want to get sick. Like, I don't feel like dealing with it. But it's like, why? What is so important that I need to go out? Or just go out? Well, I think I'll just go shopping because I'm bored. No, I don't get bored. Like, I can get lonely sometimes. It's not like, as one thing that I had even talked about having people here and stuff is how so many people, like, they just go crazy. They get so bored. We gotta go do something. We gotta go to town. Gotta go. It's like, I'm not like that. I'm so much more peaceful. Like, so, and to me, I used to be a lot more where people thought I was high strung. So to me, it's a growing, it's a development. It's like heading yourself in the right direction. It is, just learning to take better care of yourself and recognize your own triggers, recognize your own behaviors and stuff. So, but I don't feel like I get all high strung or whatever. I feel like I'm kind of low key about, I don't think I get all bent out of shape. But, what was I going to say? Because there was some kind of scenario that I can't see it that good. I just keep having that girl, because of the kid thing. Because, I don't understand if it is the parents that are just buying into the narrative, or if the parents are truly so uncomfortable with having a feminine boy or a masculine girl. Like, and so many kids, like, it could be a boy. And then look at this too, how they're just putting it all over fucking social media. So what if this is a boy who, when he was little, he liked dresses and he liked to play with Barbies. It's pretty fun to put on dresses and play with Barbies. Like, what kid wouldn't want to? And every kid should be in touch with that side of themselves, and every kid should be able to play all roles. Like, even when kids playing house, I mean, lots of times little girls, when you're playing house, one of them plays the boy and one of them plays the mom. So, that's what kids do. They just are, role playing and stuff. They're just having fun. And then these parents just like lock them in. Oh, you're trans now. Now, let's get all rainbow clothes. Now we've joined the LGBTQ community. So we've got them up our ass, finding out what we're doing. And we got to get out here and push the narrative. And it's like, what if this little boy, he's all, having fun with this side of himself. And then he starts kindergarten and starts hanging out with some other boys. And, some of those boys could say, oh my gosh, why are you playing dresses? That's so stupid. And he's like, why? What do you guys play with? We have these cool trucks. Go get your bike and let's go jump. And we'll, and all of a sudden he switches. And he goes and he's like, book, yeah. And he's, now he wants a bicycle and he wants to do ramps and he wants to jump his bike and he wants to be Evel Knievel. And then, and then the next thing, he starts 4th or 5th grade, and this they like to hunt, and so he wants to learn that side of himself, and so he gets all in that, and then by the time he's graduating high school, he's playing football. He's nothing to do with the little boy who liked to wear dresses, but Jesus Christ, his mom's made sure that that's out there. We don't want that to be missed. It's like you're fucking locking your kids in to what you want them to be. Why can't you just let the kid go through life and go through experiences? Go through, yeah, it could be uncomfortable, it could be awkward. My daughter at one point decided that she was going to snort talk. I was like, please stop snort talking. But I remember when I was a teenager and I decided to talk like a hick and drove my mom crazy. And she goes, if you don't stop talking like that, you're not going to be able to stop. And so that's the same thing I said to my daughter, because it's true. You keep doing it, you create a habit, and trying to break a habit is very difficult. And so, but my daughter, she would go around snorting. Like, kids do weird shit. Like, they're trying to just, figure out who they are. And it's not even weird for little boy to want to put on dresses and play with dolls. It's not weird for little girls to want to put on knee pads and go out and dig in dirt. Like, every kid there's no gender identification inside of them. They are just a being out there feeling the world and feeling who they are. And through their experiences, they define themselves to discover who they are. And with these parents heavily influenced in this whole group now, and then locking them in on this trans stuff, like, you got to just get comfortable with the fact that your kid does weird shit. It's not going to just go and be like the perfect little boy and the perfect little girl. They're going to be themselves. They're out there trying to figure out what that is, who they are. They're birthed into this experience, and then they've got all these parents that don't fucking know. The government's telling them who they are, so, we've got a big clusterfuck of people who don't know who the fuck they are. But to sit there and call a child a trans because he wants to put on dresses and play with Barbie houses. Barbie houses are cool as fuck. And you go get your kid some goddamn $200 fucking Barbie house. I don't give a fuck who it is, a boy or a girl. You could take the most boyish boy in the world and you go get them some fucking big ass Barbie house and you go set it up. You're gonna fucking find that boy playing with that house. They're fucking cool. Like, it doesn't matter what toys you get, any fucking toys for any gender, they're all going to be like, fuck, that's cool. They all want to try them out. They all want to see them. They all want to go out there and, you can find just as many girls out there playing with little toy guns, chasing each other and squirting each other and all different things. They come up with their own storylines. It doesn't, you can't just lock a child in and say, oh, well, you're not this because you like that. It's like, no. Like, I like boy clothes. I get a lot of boy clothes. Like, I've never felt like, I don't just go to the old lady aisles, I don't feel like society can tell me who I am. Society can't set those parameters. But, it's been years and years of this, but I can only share what I've learned. I can't give you the lessons along the way. Each person has their own lessons, but I can definitely give you, insights into other ways of looking at things. And, it's a big problem with these people who think that they're the most tolerant, who can't even tolerate their child self-discovering. And, I thought this was kind of a good, too. This was like a man, I think he's from the Middle East. I'm not sure which place he was from. It seems like he said Ghana, but I can't remember for sure. But he was saying, America, how the difference in how we treat our kids and what our kids learn and stuff like that. But the numbers he was giving, it was like, oh, God, it's disgusting. Oh, my God, it's disgusting. You can see then why they wanted to create this society. Like he said, I think it's like 75% of 12-year-olds in America have already had sex. 75% of 12-year-olds or something. And a lot of them have already had anal. and he was talking about how much sex abuse goes on here. And, you know, he brought up the thing about what they're teaching kids in school here and stuff, you know, in other countries that they're not over sexualizing, like they don't even talk about that kind of stuff to kids. And here, you know, we're forcing kids to, you know, figure out your gender. Well, I got a penis and I was born with one, so I think I'm called a boy. But you like dresses, so you must be a girl. Well, I've got a penis, so I think I'm a boy. You're just confused. You're confused. You like dresses, and you also have a penis, so therefore you must be, we need to cut off your penis so you can be a girl fully because you like dresses. But he may not even like dresses his whole fucking life. Like, god damn, it's so crazy. Like, I don't get how they got people to be so rigid and think they're so tolerant. It's crazy to get people to be so backwards in their thinking. But this is where people are going to be shocked when they see this side of themselves that they don't see. When you're running around, like I said, these people are like locking in. I'm tolerant. I'm super tolerant. You're not. You're horrible. And it's like, I guess we're about to, you're about to see, I probably won't even know anything about it, but I suppose you're about to see in a big fat mirror how tolerant you actually are. You're going to start seeing things. I would imagine just the conversation yesterday, I kept just trying to turn her stuff back on her. It's like these victims just want to keep throwing everything at you. You know, it's your fault, it's your fault, it's your fault. And it's like, yeah, but what about your part? What about you? Well, should you take a child who's got immunosuppression out around people? Like, maybe you should go learn more about that. Maybe you should understand more. Well, no, as a nurse, you should know. You should be more tolerant and you should be more caring. You should understand that people who have immunosuppression can't get sick. Okay. And, look, I mean, at least, goddamn, get us a more challenging script. I mean, some of this stuff is so, like, how are you not seeing it for yourself? It's like you got your feet, your fist in your mouth. You're so tongue-tied. Like, how are you even speaking? Like, how do you not see the words you say? How does it not click into you? Like, to me, there's always been this part where, you know, you can be talking and all of a sudden you're trying to say something, but all of a sudden you just see yourself. You just see yourself. And it's just like, oh my gosh, you can find your foot in your mouth. But it's like, that doesn't happen to so many other people, or they're really good at hiding it. They just pretend. It's like, I don't know. To me, when I'm doing that, I feel like I found my foot in my own mouth. You know, when I'm doing this all the time, you know, speaking out and saying all this stuff and putting myself out there and putting so much, you know, out there, then oftentimes I think, like, am I putting my foot in my own, and I'm like, am I saying things that don't match? Am I saying I think one way, but I'm doing another thing? Like, I don't know, you know, we're all just trying to see ourselves. Like, this is what this is all about. This is all about this awakening, is that so you can see yourself, so you can heal yourself, so you can let go of all the things that hold you back from being yourself. And, you know, just this display alone, I just, I'm 4 years old, 4 years old, and her whole video, well, I really wanted a boy. Oh, what a shame. You really wanted a boy, and you got this little boy, and he likes girl stuff, and so now you call him a girl. It's like, Jesus Christ. It's just, and you think that you should take, they've got people just in a fucking mind trap of not thinking for themselves and being all up in ego, thinking that they're just above other people. They don't need to think for themselves. They're above everybody else. The government did their thinking for them. Why should they have to think? Science is on their side. So, and they're already starting lockdowns apparently in some places. And it sucks because the sicknesses, they spray them on us. Like, So every place will have their own, you know, it's not like we'll all have the exact same thing. But they'll keep marketing it, you know, they'll make sure to get people sick. They'll do that for sure. They'll probably do some stuff that there's already set up. There's already certain things. They just add one more thing to it, and a whole bunch of things happen. It's like I had said the whole time, it's like a giant chemistry project. And so you have, you know, all of the beacons, you know, maybe they were, had something added into their beaker, and everybody has different beakers with different things in them. And then they come in and spray things, but they know how to activate certain ones that they want to. So, as they're very targeting. I mean, this black and white society and this white people that have no idea who they are other than just being white people. Like, I can't go around and call myself a Scottish Ukraine of America with two grandmas that were probably off the orphan trains. Like, I can't, you know, you've got, and then the American parents have, you know, tradition is the holidays. We've got no culture. We've got nothing else to hold on to. They will make it all about the color of our skin, and then they get everybody divided. And then what's even worse is the people they want to divide us from are the people who are the fucking natural born people to the area. The people who they've come in and took in their land. So they came in here, attacked all of these darker skinned people, took their land, fucking put them on reservations and murdered them and every fucking thing else. And then they try and peg us all against each other. And it's like, so you got all of these, you know, no wonder there are a bunch of fucking just, well, that was I think a big blow to him when Dylan came in on the Bud Light thing. Because there was a bunch of Budweiser drinkers, you know, I think they all fucking drink Bud Light. That was a real dumb move. The people who drank the Bud Light were the people who were the ones that are not into that. You know, and it isn't that they're against it. It isn't. It's the pushing of it. It's always pushing it on us, pushing it on us, pushing it on us. And that is to keep the tension alive, keep us all irritated, keep us all fighting. So then, you know, they keep pushing it on us. And then some trans person walks up next to you and you're just irritated with them right off the bat, like, fuck. You know, and it has nothing to do with this person or your attitude towards trans people. You're just sick of fucking being this shit pushed on you, pushed on you, pushed on you. They just push this shit just to keep tension alive. And it's just so nonsense. But this is where you can't get trapped in their programming and their mind trapped and shit. You can't go in and guns a-blazing, calling people psychopaths and attacking their character. Like, it's bizarre how many people come in and because I don't agree with them, they attack my character. It's like, you don't even know me. Like, how is it you feel that you have the right to go in and judge and attack someone's character when you don't even know them? Like, you literally don't even know them. This isn't like, you know, Uncle Tom over there that you've been at a million Thanksgivings with and his behavior. And you know him and his behaviors and his history and stuff like that. Like, you don't know me at all. And even people who have watched, you know, a few videos, it's like there's been a transition. There's been a transformation throughout all this stuff. Like, this is during the awakening. I've been doing these videos for 3 years now. I started January 2021. And in 2020, I was already on Twitter. And so, you know, this has been a transformation. This has been, you know, everything has been evolving. Like, I've been, you know, evolving my own self. I'm like, fuck, when all this shit started, I didn't fucking know the earth was flat. I thought we were all spinning around. I thought we were space and shit. It's like, there were so many things that, you know, you start realizing, oh my God, this is a lie. Oh my God, this is a lie. Then this whole fucking thing with the orphans, the giant, there's like absurd shit. Like there was a picture, like I love it when this person did this video, because this is the kind of shit where we don't all just stop and go like, yeah, it was the a picture of this camera. It was this giant thing that these men were working on. And it said, picture of the first camera ever made. How did you get a picture of it? This is the first camera. Who's taking the pic? What are you taking the picture with? So just absurd shit like that is out in our history. Like the one thing that gets me is all of this footage. Like there's a lot of similarities in the footage that they'll show of these movies for 1800s. Like, I don't know. There's something weird. There's something weird. There's something weird about all this footage. There's something weird about the whole thing. Like, I think that the world was going around a certain way, and then they just, wiped all those people out. I don't know, how many people were all killed in these fires and shit, where all of a sudden they started saying, well, we got all these orphans. We need to send all those orphans out now. I don't know. There's just something weird when you see the footage and stuff where it's like, makes you think it's kind of like this footage of this new moon landing. It's so bizarre. It looks like you're looking at a video game and they're saying this is real life footage. I was like, this is okay. It's like the same thing. It's like they're always selling us these stories. And yeah, there's something just weird. Just go and watch some of these old videos of it, and just don't start seeing it if you just don't get kind of a weird feeling. Like there's just something weird about everything, especially something with the 1800s. And I don't know if it was just because it was like a really great time and everybody was just living so well. And so that's when they attacked, because they wanted to take it in a new direction. So they just burned all the cities down again, like they're doing now. Like there's so many people now who are talking about, shocked. I mean, because they told us our whole lives as American citizens that Hawaii was one of the states. Hawaii was the 51st state. It was a whole big thing. Like, even back when I was in school, it was a whole big thing about, and how to learn. Hawaii was never one of our states. Hawaii has been occupied territory. They have been trying to fight them and get them off, and every time they get off, they just come back. And then the last time when they wouldn't leave, it was, they went in during a war thing and said, well, we have to use your land. Sorry, we just have to. And then just never would leave. And these people have been fighting and fighting and fighting for their lands, and they just keep killing these people. Just fucking keep wiping them out. There's so much weird shit going on about, and to me, it's like they just want to keep confusion. And even with this FEMA thing, like, it's weird. I mean, there's so many people who are convinced over this battle in the forest, and then there's this other story that's being sold, and then there's just so much stuff. Like, you can't just go all in on something. You just have to keep it all in your reference. Just like, oh, could be that, and then get comfortable with not knowing some of the stuff. Just be like, I mean, some of this it's all gonna be playing out. Like, I hope that we get to find out, like, so much more. Like, there's so much to find out. There's so much hidden. There's so much lies. So there's just, there's a lot to disclosure. And then how much of it is going to be like, we just want to go on with our lives. We just want to move forward, especially after we're going to go through this really hard time. Like, I don't know about this bank thing. Because yesterday I told my daughter, when that crash happens, people are not going to go to work. People are just there's going to be all different levels. There's going to be such different levels of how it's going to hit people. Yeah, I'm just mind blown how they just keep telling people, just don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Like, don't be prepared. Don't think about it. Like, but the people will just, they just want to not think about it. So they just go back to not thinking about it and just not thinking, like 25, 27 years. So 2050, all that time. So where inflation is like, but we don't need to worry about this digital current, not even to look into it. Like, there's so many people who don't even know about Nasara Gesara. And Gesara has already started, and that they don't realize. And Nasara is the whole thing that we're doing now. It's the whole thing of about the tower takedown. That whole thing was they were stopping what is happening now. That's why we're under such huge attacks. And they were trying to go in deeper. They were trying to take us in even further, not even offer us paper to share. No, then it was just digital currency. No basis on that. Just as long as you're compliant, you get some. If you're not compliant, then you can go fucking starve your ass somewhere. And they don't want us to be able to grow our own food or do anything for ourselves, because they just want complete control over us. But it's like each person has to be seen for themselves and, waking up and questioning things. And, but this money thing, when it goes, it's going to be so intense because of people who aren't expecting it. There's people who won't have any food. There's people who, it's going to be, oh man, so many different levels, because people who are just going to go into a panic of like, how am I going to pay my bills? What am I going to do? Because there's going to be no bills paid. There's going to be nobody who's going to be paying for anything. Nobody's going to be getting paid either. And so places that have like Humane Society, every place, every one of those little homes where there's sick people, old people, nursing homes, hospitals. Like, there's going to be, I would think some places that probably they will have like military will go in and take over in some hospitals and stuff, because it's going to be, if it goes like that, like, fuck, I hope it doesn't go real slow and drug out. I mean, right now, Trump did his big speech thing yesterday, and he said he's the prez, and there all this stuff they keep trying to show, Joe's not, to sink in some of these people's heads, because these people still think that Trump is just an egomaniac making this up. It's like, dude, can't you just pull yourself into reality for a minute and go and do some research and figure it out for yourself? Like, jeez, people with their biases. It just, man, it's mental. But, so, if it's going very linked, because Joe is the one that has to crash under him. So this whole crash has to occur under Joe. And then if he just steps right in, but when he steps in, see, we've got all these things at play, the quantum thing, because supposedly as soon as they try and shift it to their money thing, that's why we're not on the Fed now. All this shit, like July 1st, we will be Fed now. We will be complete digital currency. Well, it's almost September. We still don't have it, do we? And so, because once they do that, and they try and flip it onto that money, when it just flips right into the quantum. That was set up already. I heard that back in 2020 or 2021, that there was no way they could flip it into that money system, because it was automatically going to flip into the quantum one. And they don't want, how are they going to explain that? There could be money in people's accounts. Like, I don't know how it's all going to go down. But there's going to be a whole thing with reparation, giving back to the people. That's what's going on in these other countries. And when they're saying like, oh, even people in Russia are saying this is going to take years and years to do all this. Yeah, it's going to take some time. Like, we're not going to all of a sudden next year have 1 million communities built up and all these really successful communities and people are all working. No, we got to go through some stuff. So yeah, it's going to take some time, but people need to be directed. Like, it's a big difference when you are in panic and you think the world's ending, and when you are, in a direction of letting go of this, it's like leaving an abusive relationship. You got to prepare for the next one. You can't go in as the abused victim and go in to the new relationship. The new relationship, you want to go in as a whole person and go in and, and besides, you can't even do it. You can't get into the new age with all your baggage. It's impossible because the frequency. You can't carry the baggage through the frequency. It will hold you back. The baggage, your pain, your suffering will hold you back. It's heavy, it's baggage. That's why you got to let it go. You got to heal it. And you can't just let it go. If you could just let it go, everybody just let it go. That's one thing that is such a set up thing. These people go in and do these Reiki. Oh, we're going to release your bond. We're going to release your blocks. All your blocks are releasing. And all these people go in to get their blocks released. When your blocks are released, that is to bring up whatever's haunting you. So I think people think like, oh, releasing them, I'm just releasing all my pain. No, releasing what's blocking it lets it come up. Then you got to process it. You can't just release shit. You got to go through it. Why are you holding on to it? You've been carrying it around for fucking some of these from other lives, carrying and carrying and carrying it. And you think you can just all of a sudden just go, oh, release, release. And it's just gone. Oh, it's just gone. Oh, I feel so much better. But then somebody says something to you and you're like, why, motherfucker? It's like, because you were just triggered. Because it's not released. Because it's still in there. Because you got to you have to go in. You have to go in and deal with it. You have to see, what is it that's bothering me? Why do I feel this way? Why do I get so mad? Why do I get so triggered? Why do I get upset? Because this is your evolution. This is you, leaving this abusive relationship, where you weren't who you were. You weren't, any relationship that's been very toxic. I mean, everybody leaves them and it's like, God, I was the worst version of myself. I can't even believe the person I was, there's parts of yourself you don't want to see, but you got to see them. You got to understand and don't judge yourself because you have these parts. You got to see that they come from pain. They come from trauma. They come from, they're part of this part of the wall that you try to build around yourself to protect yourself. So don't be meaner to yourself. Like, people are so mean to themselves. You got to be kinder to yourself. You got to learn to be kind to yourself. And then you'll naturally start being kinder to other people. But anyways, all of this transition, I keep talking about, but that is why all of this is going, because it is a big jump to go from being in an abusive relationship to being in a good relationship. And you will bring the good one down if you leave an abusive relationship and you just go jump right into another relationship. It will just become just as toxic as the one you just left. There's you're not upgrading, you're not stepping up. You're just jumping from one to the next to the next. Just like the pasture is not greener. Once you get over there, it's the same fucking thing. You have to actually climb the mountain or get down off the hill and do the work. And then once you get to where you are, you change your elevation, you change. And then it is the relationships change. But as long as you don't change, then your relationships will continue to be toxic, because you're the only one who can change that. And they're there for you so you can recognize your own toxic behaviors so that you don't continue to be toxic for yourself. So, and when you're not toxic for yourself, you don't allow other people to be toxic to you. So you set boundaries for yourself. So the whole thing is just a healthier presentation of life, a healthier way of living, and it's more productive and more positive. But so if people understand what they're doing here and are using their time wisely, but you have these people, you have the social justice warriors fighting for these causes. You have the people who are just out there panicking over Armageddon. You have the people panicking over being poisoned. You have the people who are just focused on we get the right one in the office, everything changes, people. We just got to get out there and get out there and vote. We just got to, we'll get the right one in there and everything is going to change. It's like people are so misdirected. But that's that, start waking up and they just lock in on something that scares them. Just whatever you lock into, just keep processing, keep moving, keep going. Don't just get so stuck. And, I keep saying, I mean, the future we're headed is about love and acceptance, sovereignty. It's not going to be based on a book. People are going to know not to kill somebody just because it's inside them. They're going to just feel it like, I would never kill anybody. What? It's not going to be like, well, the Bible says, the Bible says this, the Bible says that. Oh, the Bible. It's like, oh my fucking God. So we're going to reach a time where people are going to be, they're going to know it because it's imprinted inside them. They're not going to need a book. They're not going to need another person telling them. So, and all about unity, community, and it's going to be smaller communities. It's not going to be giant mega cities. We're all piled in and we're all going to get the same. No, it's going to be so much more peaceful, so much more calmer, so much more unity, so much more of people feeling connected, people feeling like they belong, people developing back into culture. It's going to be really cool where we're headed. But, it's like what Trump said. It's not for everybody. It's honestly not for everybody. Not everybody is here to do the work. Some people will do some of the work and won't get through the whole thing. Not everybody is going to be at the age of Aquarius when we get there. It's just the way it is, and all of us who are working towards this have no idea who's coming and who's not. But just keep in mind the big thing, and this is, prophecy from a lot of different things, is not just the Bible. The Bible does say it will be heaven on earth, and the dead and the living will walk as they do in heaven or something like that. Probably depends on the translation. And who knows, that could be something they interjected because they fucking know. Because it is in other prophecy. And it is something about the vibration. It's something about we are raising our vibration. Some people can die and take that route and go in through the raising your vibration. But there's a point to this ascension, this growth, this graduation, these challenges that are occurring. This is a big part of your soul's development. And so, yeah, not everybody's going to go through this hard part with us. Some people are going to, like I said, die, and then they'll be in it from the other direction. But we are coming in it from this direction. We're going towards it. We are focused and we are creating it. We're the seeders. We're the creators. And so, anyways, if that makes sense. So, it definitely is not for everyone. And it is, but the part, and I don't know, some of these people who are just focused on Armageddon, they have a group of people that probably they're talking to soul to soul. I feel, my role is to talk to the people, the seeders of this new world, to keep people remembering who you are, remembering your connection to all things, connecting back to that natural cycle, getting back in touch with who you are at your core, getting back to the roots of what we are as people. And, is this transformation, this movement back into, the nuts and bolts of us, getting back into our soul, coming from within, So this transformation part of reminding people, I just know, that is, it's like I've been set up for it from the time I was a little kid. They were prepping me the whole time. I had no idea. I had no idea I was being prepped for something. I mean, they started telling me years and years ago, but I didn't really know. I didn't really get what was to come in the future. Even when I started seeing stuff for the, when they started showing me after I was doing my healing, and I started realizing that this was going to happen to everybody. Everybody was going to lose everything. And that there was a whole, like, when they were showing me all that, I didn't, like, it's all as kind of goes in its own opening. Like, everything is this the awakening. You see more and more and more and more. But when I was a big thing when I started realizing, and I think it was towards the end of 2020. I think I was already talking on my channel when I started realizing it was not everybody has the same things going on in their head. That blew my mind. But it blew my mind all through my life, because I kept thinking, because I have so much going on. Like, I'm always talking and stuff, and I thought we all were. I thought everybody was doing that. I thought everybody had this, everybody knew that their soul, like, I thought everybody did. And I couldn't figure out, like, why people would try to pretend like they didn't, and would laugh and make fun of me over things I was saying and stuff. And I would always think, that's so strange. Then when I got to be, 2020, and then when I started finding out, like, people they don't have that. They don't hear that. Like, people think that's being called psychic. People think that's being called channeling. Like, that's not just how normal people live. And that is where I was like, what? That is really blowing my mind. But anyways, that has been a part of my whole thing of saying, like, I was being prepped for this from the time I was little. Like, there was no me going off and doing certain things. Like, I was always being led a certain direction. So, and I was always listening. And there's one thing too, where I just keep feeling like you've got it in there. Everybody's got it in there. They just got to get through the noise and find themselves inside themselves. There's just a lot of noise, and a lot of people just don't understand about these energy attachments. And then they get this facade ideas of, like, demons and angels and all this black and white, black and white, black and white. And so it's like everything is shifting your mind and thinking broader, thinking bigger, getting out of black and white, get in the gray. Yeah, there's poles. We all have our own poles. We all have our own viewfinder. We all have our own vision. But we've got to see the gray. We can't just always be, it's this way or it's this way. It's this way or it's this way. No, it's everything in between, because we're all seeing so many things. We have to allow everything in between. And so we've got to let go. Yeah, we all have our own. We all have our own poles of what we use our parameters for our judgment to decide what's okay, what's not okay. But always be open and shifting. Don't be rigid and controlled. And don't think that you know what's best for somebody else. You know what they should do. Get out of that kind of mindset and be, and it is a maneuvering through life. Don't get caught, well, this is the way it is. It's always been this way. It's always going to be that way. And that's the way I'm going to look at it. And keep yourself open to seeing more, open to taking somebody else's viewfinder and looking inside. And you might see something that's beautiful. Might see something that you had no idea was there. I think it's important for us to begin to share our view finders, our views, our points of view, our experiences, our passions, our experiences, just because it develops our perspective. And the more perspective, the more viewfinders you can look through, the more you can see, the more you can have compassion and empathy for people, the more you can see, like, you get to experience the walk through their shoes when you have compassion for their experience, not trying to tell them what they should have done, what the shoes they should have wore, the shoes, if you would have done this, you could have had a different experience if you would have done it the way I said. We all do that. I do that kind of shit. We all do. But that's where we got to start catching ourselves and noticing ourselves. No, this is their soul journey. This is their shoe. They're sharing their experience. They're sharing how, like, to be able to talk to this girl, at some point, when she evolves more, to, hear her story, what led her to this point of, thinking your child is a different gender because it likes to play with dolls. Like, how did her mind, and not being in judgment of her, to understand her perspective, how she got to that place where she's at, because to us, to so many of us, we can look around and just be like, okay, that's mental, that's crazy, that's stupid. And it's all these different experiences. We just got to open our minds and then kind of reel it in. It's not this serious thing. We got to remember, this is just a game. It's not like really this boy's being turned into a girl. This is a game. He's there teaching his mom, like they're there learning things together. And so we're in observation of that, and we can witness, but we need to stay out of thinking that we know what's best for somebody else's experience. If you get my drift. Now I've been talking a long time. I was figuring, I bet you I've been talking a long time. It's 200, it was 41 when I looked. But anyways, so, I don't know what's going to go on, but, if they do start just closing things down and people start like not going to work, just keep in mind that there can be old people and animals and stuff that there's nobody, they're just laying there starving to death. I told my daughter, and she said, oh, I would never, she's going to still go, even if she's not going to get checked, she'll go and make sure that people get up, get there. And she said, and I think most of the people I work with, they would still, even if we're not getting paid, we still know, like, we really care. Like, caregivers want to, they're doing it because they care about people. They want to go in. So she said that they've definitely, and I'm sure there would be some nurses, I'm sure in some extreme things it will take military, but we got this whole thing with this changing over of who's in charge, this whole thing about the media, the blackout thing, this whole thing with they're threatening us again now with this bombing thing. They're threatening the collapsing the money. Like, we've got so many things. Fuck, I thought that all of this shit would go. It just gets more and more extreme. It gets more and more absurd. It gets more and more ridiculous. It gets more and more intense. And so everything that it keeps pushing you, just, don't let it push you over the edge. Just there's so many people who think that their mind is in control of them. You have control. You just got to learn it. Like, it's part of the indoctrination and part of the programming, the compliancy issues. They don't want you to know you can control your mind, but it's challenging. It's like going to the gym. It's like going to the gym and being 600 pounds, and now you want to, be on the cover of that exercise magazine, whatever it's called. I can't think of it. It's got like a S or something on it. But so, it's a workout. You're going to have to put some effort in. You're going to have to put some work in. So all of this is changing, this evolving, this developing, this seeing things different, unprogramming yourself, reprogramming yourself. It's all work. It's all hard work. So, and don't shame anybody who isn't doing it, because we don't know who all is here to do it. Like, there's going to be some people who, like my neighbors, I don't think that they're here for this big spiritual thing. They're just, will probably shift, go through some hard things and have to, but I don't think every single person is going to completely evolve. And I don't know, I know you can't go in holding on to pain and suffering, but I don't know each person's thing. Like, there can be people who are letting go of pain and suffering and evolving, but they're also not evolving into, like, I don't know, spiritual leaders. Where we're headed is going to be, that's going to be more of the leaders. It's going to be, people are going to be way more of wanting to figure out how to feel good about themselves, how to feel good. People are going to be more focused on that, and they're going to want to hear from people who can help them understand that. It'd be more like, you know, we're not gonna have Western meds. It's not gonna be psychologists and counselors, but I would just call it like healers and stuff. There's gonna be a lot more of that kind of respect towards that community, a community that was disregarded more and thought of as a bunch of weird wacko people. Now it's going to be where they are more respected, where people go to them, like, you know, nutritionist and herbalist and all sorts of different things. So there's going to be a shift in what people, you know, observe and respect. And but I just don't think every single person's going to go into this, you know, highly spiritual, you know, there's still going to be people who are just there living, just living their lives in their little communities and developing. And, you know, because I see people like they want that, you know, they want to, you know, they came here to experience the dollhouse. They want to fucking experience it. They want to see what they can do to build up their dollhouse, to make their life what they want. So, you know, and that's, you know, a totally viable reason to be alive. So just keep in mind in all these different levels of where everybody's at in this awakening, and keep in mind, we're not all headed to the exact same destination. We all have different ones. That's why there's all different people talking about things in all different terms. Like how I talk is, I think it's specific, you know, towards a certain group that would understand me. And I think there's a lot of people who would hear me who don't understand me. They don't get what I'm talking about. And so, you know what, but there's all different levels for all different things that people are here to experience. That's why I keep saying that people who come and listen to me, I would think you are more focused on, you know, your evolution of your spirit and really trying to focus on feeling better about yourself and really doing the work and really, you know, master your, not just mastering your mind, but mastering your actual lifetime, your life, your, I don't know how to call it, because it's more like life, I see it more like a movie, more like your movie run. So, you know, the movie run that you are in, to have it be what you want it to be, to have you're more proactive in your own life experience, instead of just sitting back and thinking everything is just happening to you and you have no control. You have no control over. But there's going to be like it's like a lot of levels. Like still, no matter if it's the people who want to just go and live in little communities and you know, just develop in schools and raise their kids and have farms and stuff like that. They will be, it still wouldn't be able, like a toxic person who is abusive and doesn't care about people and stuff like that. They wouldn't be able to just jump in and go, oh, well, now I'm going to go do that. No, they would have to face these sides of themselves and release it. Like there has to be certain things that are healed. You can't change vibrations without changing vibrations. So I think a lot of people are going through things, even if it's not like this giant thing. Like I just don't know. I don't know how it's going to affect everybody when they literally see this world as completely different than what they thought it was. Because no matter how many times I try and tell people, they cannot, no matter how many times you say it, they can't even wrap their head around it. It's like, ugh, I don't, because to me, that's the biggest part of the awakening, is just this kind of realizing that this fake ass world, it's just not what you think. You're not, like, it's way different than what people think, and it's so controlled. And I can't believe how many people, well, I don't trust the government, but climate change, that's real. Like, that's real. Okay, so there's just a lot where people, something's in my eye, there's just a lot where people have to wrap their heads around. Oh, it's gonna drive me crazy, like an eyelash is jabbing in there. Sucks too when you can't see, because you can't see to do any of that stuff. Even if there's a hair going through my eyes, like I'm always like, I can't see anything. It's so annoying not to be able to see good. But my eyes have improved, though. I'm just going to keep working on it and working on it. Like, don't ever give up on any of this stuff. You know, even if you're fucking stage 4 cancer, they say you got a week to live. Like, I've heard people who get these kind of things and they turn it around. Don't buy into any of the shit they tell you. Always just think anything that they tell you, well, now it's me who's going to take over. I'm done giving you a chance. Now I'll figure it out, and start looking into whatever your issue is, you know, start just figuring out. And to me, spend time talking to yourself. I think that's important. I think people don't spend enough time talking to themselves. They spend a lot of time talking to other people, a lot of time listening to people talk, but don't spend enough time talking to themselves. So spend the day talking to yourself, and I'll talk to you later.